George Kaiho of Jettison Down Sexes, y'all-ish. Today, I'm going to talk about shake. I'm going to talk about cocktail skills, techniques, whatnot. You think about a bartender, the first thing that comes to your mind is a bartender shaking a cocktail, right? So that's how iconic / important shake is for bartenders. It's like they're on stage. So I'm gonna explain why you shake and types of shakers that are out there, and then style how to shake it, and then differences between all the shakes. And I know it's hard to read, but it's more for this is more for me to read. I'm gonna explain everything so you don't have to read this. This is my cheat sheet actually. So here we go. So shake is a method to make cocktail. It's a skill that you not skill, method to make cocktails. Most importantly, you use shake to mix things that are hard to mix, and the biggest example is of course citrus and sugar. Citrus will be like lime juice, lemon juice, whatnot. Sugar can be like simple syrup or flavored liqueurs or whatnot, honey. So those are hard to mix. So by shaking it, you're forcing them to combine. That's one thing that you shake. If I go to a random bar that I've never been and look at the menu, if I see there's sweet and sour in it, I can automatically assume. Of course, there's no rules, but I can automatically assume that this is probably a shake and drink. So that's the base, and then just stirring or whatnot. The ice is gonna drop. You're chilling the drink. You're making it cold, so when you sip it, it's good to drink. And you're adding water. You're lowering the alcohol content. Chilled shots are easy to drink, but they're strong alcohol. You're lowering the alcohol by adding water, shaking it. And also, that you can achieve with stirring it. You can also add some ice shards, flakes, into the drink. And more importantly, you can add air in it. This is water. You do this, and then it's bubbly. So you can do similar thing when you shake a cocktail. Right. So there are mainly two types of shakers. One is called the two-piece shaker, or it's also called Boston shaker or 10-on-10 shaker. This you see at 98% of the bars. This can be made of glass or whatnot, or it can be smaller. But it's basically two different size of cups, and it goes onto one another, and then you shake it like that. Let's go two-piece. I'm gonna call it two-piece shaker on this page. And then there's another one called a three-piece shaker, which if you look at bartending videos in Japan, you see it more often. It looks like this. So one, the main part, and then the top that goes on top of it, and then the cap. So three things, 1, 2, 3. It's called a three-piece shaker, or it's called cobbler shaker. And yeah, if you this one is actually considered large for bars in Japan. Except it's compared to this, it's small, right? Like that. Yeah, smaller. And usually handle like that. And there are other ones that kind of in the middle. One of them is called Parisian shaker. The Parisian looks like that. So it's kind of like the two-piece, except the top part, the cap part, fits exactly. So you don't have to like kind of mess with it, except it doesn't have a strainer. So kind of in the middle. Right, that's it. So I'm gonna explain the pros and cons of a two-piece shaker versus a three-piece shaker. So one thing before I mention, so there are of course pros and cons, right? Like there's no ultimate shaker. Like each shaker's styles are good for certain things and not good for certain things. So one thing I really don't understand, American bartenders. Let's use cobbler shakers. See, let's use both. I think we should use both because you can do a lot more if you have both. Right. So with that being in mind, I'm gonna explain the pros and cons, starting with the two-piece shaker. The two-piece shaker is really simple. Only two things. So a lot of like speed bars, it's like fast, and some people even like, I'm not good because I never worked at a speed bar. You can like even use like one hand to like complete the whole process. So it's really built for speed. It's like you break it like that, and then you can make a lot because it holds more. Second, it's easy to clean because it's simple. Just like it's clean like that. Rinse it. So easy to clean. So it's good for muddled drinks. So if you have a muddler, you muddle it, but then you can just toss the whole thing, rinse it, and it's clean. So it's good for muddled drinks. And then also you tend to do a really tight lock. So when you put egg white cocktails, when you shake egg whites, when you shake egg whites, it tends to try to kind of come out, like. So if it's kind of secured, then there's less chance for it to kind of splash on you. So it's also pretty good for egg white cocktail. And I'm originally not from a speed bar or a volume-based bar, but I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen bartenders. They shake it with just one hand, right? And then they'll just shake it with one hand, and then on the other hand they're like stirring a cocktail. Like, they're like multitasking, or something. They just like. You can like shake too. I call this the alpha male shake. They go like ha ha alpha ha ha. I call it the alpha male shake because it's like like they should do a workout like one squat, two squat. Anyways, you can multitask. You can multitask. You can like some like I'm really not good at this, but some bars. There you go. Some people they can do like 3, and then like combine it, like shake it like all like 3 combined or 4 combined. I probably cannot even do that. Like. It's really, you can do a lot of volume for pretty fast. So that's a two-piece shaker's benefit. The cons, the bad thing is it's big. So I'm a male, probably average height. So my hands are okay, it'll fit. But if you have smaller hands, or if you're like female with smaller hands in general, it might be kind of pretty big. It's pretty big. And then there's this one thing that if you use this, you gotta go through is locking the shaker and unlocking the shaker. It usually requires power, force. So to lock it, you can't just go like vertical. You gotta tilt it, and then you gotta find at least it could be anywhere, but at least one side has to be completely like straight, connected. You gotta like do it like that, so it's like kind of goes into the side, and then usually people just like bang it, so it's like secure, right? And then you like shake it, and then when you try to undo this, unlock this, usually you gotta like hit it, like, or like hit it on the side. And then worst case is like this is made of glass, and then like you cannot open it, and then you shake it and then the glass break. That's like the worst case scenario. So that's why you use this, like you won't break. But you do kind of need some sort of force banging is required, and which leads to what I personally don't like, what I personally think it's a con is it's noisy. So you gotta I'm pretty sure you go to a bar, a lot of bartenders they will just like like that. You hear it. If it's a busy, noisy bar, maybe like your other stuff are noisy, so it's okay. My bar, Jettison, is small and quiet, so it's really not what I want. Like I don't want any banging stuff going on. Especially my bar is made out of wood, almost entirely, not here, but almost wood. So customer like kind of like hanging out like that, and then you bang it. It's like the whole bar are gonna feel the vibration. I don't want that. I don't want the noise. But I do use this because it has a lot of good things. So what I do is when I make the cocktail ready to shake, I put it to the back of the bar, so it's not on the customer side. And then instead of hitting it, I secure the bottom so it's flat. It's like this, and then I hit it with the hand like that. So this is the most minimum noise I can create when I use this. Yeah. So I had to, with this setup of my bar, I had to change. I used to bang it too. Like some people, they bang it, so cool. But like my friend Colin Phillips, banging is required. Okay, sorry. Next is you need more tools than this. Like this usually, if you're like speed bar, you can do like this, like whatever pour stuff. There are other techniques that you can use, but typically at a craft cocktail bar, when you're done shaking, you pull this out. You don't need this anymore. One thing, do not do this after you finish shaking, because you shake all liquid, usually sticky, and then you do this, so now this is dirty too. If you just not do that and then rinse it right away, like I have a rinser easy, but you just even like sink right away, then you don't need to wash it outside afterwards, nor it gets sticky. So don't do this. Sorry. But you do that, finish, you need another strainer, so Hawthorne strainer. You put it on top and then you strain, typically, right? In a lot of bars, this relates to the fact that it's hard to control the ice flakes, the ice shards with this, because most craft cocktail bar uses this ice called Cold Draft, K-O-L-D, Cold Draft. It's an ice machine that makes good size square ice. You get a lot of ice like flakes breaking out, which can be good, but if you just use a Hawthorne strainer like that, a lot of times you get unwanted amount of ice shards. So you need another tool, which is like a tea strainer or fine mesh strainer. Do like that. It's called double strain. One strain, two strain, double strain. So I mean, usually I have it hanging here because it's fast. But you not only the shaker, but you need others like shaking done. Okay, shaking done. Put it aside, and then put the Hawthorne strainer on top. Oh, need a tea strainer again. So more tools required, and sometimes you can just go. That kind of stuff. And lastly, it's because you use a lot of ice, you tend to kind of overshake it. You tend to shake it longer than you need it to, or because more ice, it tends to melt more. So it tends to water down the cocktail more, in my opinion. But it's not really a big deal. You can control that. Right, 3-piece shaker. The good things about 3-piece shaker or cover shaker is it's smaller, so it's like easy to handle. I think, in my opinion, it's very easy to handle. I can do like other different moves. And then one benefit is that you don't need extra tools usually. So it has a strainer included, so you just shake, and then you just open it and you can go right away. If you need a fine mesh, you only need one tool instead of two things like that. And the controlling of the ice shards I will explain later, but some cocktails I do want ice shards, some cocktails I don't want ice shards, so I can just control that. If a little bit is okay, or if I do want ice shards in it, flakes in it, this is good because it controls that amount or the size. You're not gonna get big ones because it's gonna get stuck here. So it's already kind of takes care of that. If I don't want it at all, I'll use a fine mesh or a tea strainer. That's that consistent ice flakes. And then this requires less power and it's quieter. Like you don't have to, no banging required, no tapping required. You just like build, close, done. Right? You didn't hear any of this. It's like, dun, dun, dun. That's it. Quiet. I love it. So cons. So because it has certain steps, like you do have to, this I'm shaking it without ice. So it's a little different situation, but if you do shake it with ice, the cap usually gets stuck because of the heat, or it's too cold. It shrinks. Basically, it shrinks, so it's hard to come out. So, like once you close it, you gotta open and then close it back in in order to release the air out. So when you shake it, it can easily come out, take it out. So there are certain things you have to do. When you're banging and then rebanging, it's the same thing. But and then you use two hands. You don't really shake it with one hand. So like, there's not much of a multitasking. You gotta start and finish, which I do like because this another side story. So when you do the alpha male shake, imagine, let's think about this for a minute. You do the alpha male shake, right? Like alpha, 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 right? Alpha done. So alpha is done. Okay, so this cocktail and then this cocktail are done, right? Done. Okay, now what? You still have to like get 2 cocktails, right? So this one done, this one done at the same time. It's done at the same time. Put it, okay, so this one, pour, and then whatever garnish, whatever stuff to be done. This one has just been sitting here. It was done at the same time. This one been just sitting here the whole time that you were working on the first one. And then you open this one up, and then you pour it in, and then you do whatever stuff. So that means that the one that gets done first is ideal. Like it gets the right amount of chilled and bubbles and water. This one's gonna get a little bit watered down, right? So multitask. You gotta think about it a little bit. Right, sorry. Next, definitely this is a con. It's hard to clean if you have stuff. So you cannot, if you put mints or berries or whatever fruits or whatever, basically stuff, if you put stuff in it, it's gonna get trapped in these holes or like the sides, and it's hard to clean. So this is really not good for muddled cocktails or mint cocktails, herb, basically cocktail with things in it, solids. Like for example, you make a mojito or something with this that has mint in it, and you pour it. Okay, you think you cleaned it, and then you make a different cocktail, like a daiquiri or something. You make it, shake, and you pour it, and then like you will see like a little, like a tiny bit of mint, like kind of floating. It's like, what the hell is this doing in my cocktail? So that can happen like very often. So it's really not good for muddled cocktail. It's also not great with egg white cocktails because it has like 2 places and you're just kind of securing it like this. So when you're doing a dry shake, which I'm gonna explain later, egg white will try to kind of come out. So it's like you do a dry shake and it'll try to come out, and it's not great with egg white drinks. There are things to fix, like for example, you can like use like a whisking device and they can just whisk it, and that's the same thing as doing the dry shake. So there are things to like fix, or still you can still use this, and it's not bad. And then lastly, it does have its own limit, so and it kind of relate to use both hands, so you cannot make a lot at once. So it's not really good for speed. All right, so that was the pros and cons on 2-piece shaker. Conclusion: let's have both. You need both because this guy, if you have like a simple cocktail that just like simple straining, you guys go fast. You don't need the extra straining or whatnot. Ice jars are complete. No banging required. So I think we need both. Let's have both.